The Pharaoh has returned, and good evening. I hope you all settle in. Tonight we shall do a ceremony. You know how I love to do a ceremony. And the Almighty God has been speaking to me in many ways. Tonight we shall open out our pack, see what we have in here for tonight's ceremonious smoke. And we also shall enjoy a few glasses of Cabernet as we read from the book of Genesis, chapter 37. We shall continue on to chapter 46. Tonight's reading will be pretty long because, in my opinion, it is a very interesting story. I find it quite compelling. I find it that we can all learn from this story in some way. If you're not familiar, this is about Joseph, Jacob's son. Very interesting story indeed, because we all would think that something bad happening to us would also cause us to display more hatred towards what has happened. And quite surprising the outcome of how Joseph decided to do that. Well, let us begin the ceremony, of course, by getting our fine cigar prepped and ready. That is always a must. We must have our book of matches. We must go inside of our kit, and we shall select another Oliva. As you may have seen, a gift was given to me with quite many different sizes and shapes and flavors. And we shall again enjoy ourselves a nice 5 series. This is a Maduro, so it's going to be a little bit more bold. Bolder smoke. Yes. And this is also an especial, which represents the stick length itself, the size of the ring, the length of the ring. That smells very good indeed. Very good indeed. Wow. I hope you come in and you settle down and you start to get yourself comfortable. Maybe get outside on your patio, have you crack open a tasty brew, pour some fine wine or some tasty wine as well. Join me as we sit down and we read, because there's so much we can learn from these type of stories. These stories were written many centuries ago, and they still hold true. And just by us reading this book, we can learn so much just from it. So I thank you for joining me tonight. As you know, I am a lover of V-cuts, so I shall always do a V-cut. Mighty fine chop. Yes. Dig it open just a little bit more. So as we get the cigar prepared, it is ready to go. We shall now pour ourselves up a nice tall glass of Cabernet. Now, the Pharaoh does not discriminate, and he does not just look for the finest on dollars and prices. He looks what speaks to him, ultimately. And this one was quite affordable. It is not the most luscious of them, but for what we need to achieve tonight, this will do. This Cabernet is by Quail Oak out of the state of California. Cheers. All right. Let us get the smoke ready to be lit, ready for consumption. And once we have fired up that cigar, we shall begin reading. And then after we read, we will discuss what we learned. We will have a talk with ourselves or with others. If you shall join the chat and allow us to speak through each other and share what we've learned, maybe your how you perceive these chapters. I've been reading through it a few times, so hopefully this becomes easier to me because the language is old, not as old as I am. Ha! Actually, I lie. Way older than I am. That is so not true. Nothing is older than the book. Not even the Pharaoh. With that being said, let's light this fine cigar. Feels like we need a little bit more yoga flame to get it going. There we go. Let us enjoy a couple puffs. Let us get a little sip. And let us read. I would like the notes to leave because sometimes you tap on the screen, it likes to hold it for you. I just thought of something. I should actually transfer this to the iPad, whatever that is. New technology I've never seen in my days. But my flesh form, Brandon, has said that you should do it this way. I listen to him a lot because he is of this world, and remember, I am only the spirit of him. As we begin, we are reading from the King James Version, Genesis 37, verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For, behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obsolence to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obsolence to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here I am. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with thy flock, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I have heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come on to his brethren, and they striped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Madronites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, The child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Now know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to confront him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave until my mourning. Thus his fathers wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's, and captain of the guard. Let us just have a brief talk about the first chapter, where we meet Joseph and his brothers. So just to recap, the brothers of Israel, let's see, yes. Now let's just do a simple recap. So Israel, these are his sons. And because his love for Joseph, the other brothers were very jealous of him. He did receive a lot more love, a lot more respect. You can say he was considered to be more divine because he had a deeper connection, or a inline connection, with the one and true God. To express his love for Joseph, he made him a coat of many colors, which is very unique at this time and in this place. Now, Joseph having a dream, the dream was, it's kind of, how do you describe it? It's very difficult to understand. The dream itself is more so in parables. It's more so in pieces, but the pieces have deeper meaning to it, which I believe it is the more that we read this and the more that I study it, it would start to give us an idea of what that actually meant. Well, as we continue forward, we see that the brothers became angrier. They envied their own flesh and blood. They devised a plan to get him to come with them. At first, they even spoke of killing him, which is just outrageous. Would you not agree? But this is what happens when we live in a time of there isn't much justice, there isn't many eyes, and the only eye that you really had to watch you at all times and also uh, provide justice for you is God. Well, let's fast forward a little bit more. They devise a plan to where instead of killing him, Reuben said, we shouldn't do that. Let us just, what is the purpose of this if we can't make a little bit of money? So they sell him to some merchantmen passing through. And now Joseph has been essentially sold into servitude. And now he has to head down to Egypt along with them. The merchantmen actually pass through and sell him to Egypt as they were only going there. And to cover their tracks, they decided to kill a goat. If you notice, they did not sacrifice a goat because a sacrifice means to do something in response to something, or to, give your love or give your appreciation to God or whatever they may have been trying to do it for. But this was simply just they killed something so they can cover up their tracks and make it look as if something very bad happened to Joseph, which, quite compelling, quite serious. The father believed that Israel, Jacob, it's interesting how they switched the names around. Sometimes they will call him Israel, sometimes they will call him Jacob. I understand that his name has been changed by God, but they like to intertwine it. And he is heartbroken that his son, one of his children, who he's given life to and he's loved very much, has the appearance that he has been devoured by some beast. Mm. Let us continue on to chapter 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Aldamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son. And he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son. And she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son. And called his name Shelah. And he was a Shezbi when she bared him. We will have to look that meaning up. That is something to look up. What does that mean? Eventually, when we have people in the chat and talking back and forth with us, that would be great for someone to add that into the chat so that way we have a point of reference of certain words. Because again, as we study the book together, we learn more together. That is one of the most beautiful things about studying the book in groups. We don't just need a church. Sometimes we just need to commune amongst each other. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the spirit of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up a seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Wow. Old Testament God indeed was very immediate with his displeasure for things. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up onto his sheep shears to Timnath, and he and his friend Hira the Aldamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in on to thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff, that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his father, or by his friends, the Edomites, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah, and said, I cannot find her. And also the man of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about the months after, that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, discern, I pray thee, who are these, the signet and bracelet and staff? And Judah acknowledged them and said, she has been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travel that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she traveled that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a sacred thread, saying, this came out first. And it came to pass as he drew back his head, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? The breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterwards came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zara. Now this chapter is a little, that's the end of chapter 38, but this chapter kind of moves a little differently. It's weaving a different part of the story into it. Let us continue reading, as it basically, I believe we're going to learn more about them as the book reads forward. So chapter 39, starting at verse 1. I believe, when we read these stories in its totality and we isolate them and we're able to, discuss and break them down, because they have many parts. And that is why it's perfect to be able to, enjoy a nice fine cigar, maybe crack open a tasty brew, or enjoy some delicious wine. It allows us to take this in. But let us continue, because there's a lot to cover. And Judas was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hand of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hands. And it came to pass, from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things, that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. Very honorable man, Joseph is. Very honorable. Just imagine that. You have been sold into servitude, and even being in this position, you still respect the ones that you are serving, even much so to not take the invitation of one's wife. A lot of us cannot say the same. A lot of us is not as righteous. A lot of us may have just given in. There is none greater in the house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? See that part right there? Not only is he respectful to another man and refusing to lie with this man's wife, but he's looking at how this would affect his relationship with God. He is more worried about displeasing God than anything. Got a little couple ashes on me. Well, it's what a good cigar would do to you sometimes. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garments with me, and fled, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto his according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lift up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did they servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and shewed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. So Joseph, being a righteous man, not giving in to the temptations, but because he did not, she, in a sense, was embarrassed. But she also had a different plan to where she wanted to, I guess, cover up the situation as best as she could. So blaming him and saying that he did something that he did not do, which led him into prison. But because he was such a righteous man, he still had God's favor. And God still used and placed people well before he was there to be able to intercept or be a part of his life. Because he basically became a very important person in the prison. Let us continue to chapter 40. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of the Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed the dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. Hmm. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were three branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hands. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The three branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thy unto thy place. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner, when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and shew kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. Wow. 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 That was something that was like that was basically Joseph planting a seed. He planted the seed in chapter 40, verse 12. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after former manner when thou wasn't his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and shew kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeons. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had the 3 white baskets on my head, and in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from all of thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. So Joseph, in verse 13 to 14, he gives the butler an interpretation of what he finishes the interpretation. He lets him know what is going to happen in 3 days. And this was 3 days for 2 different people, the butler and the baker. And he said, Please tell this to the Pharaoh and get me out of this house, because he's done no wrong. He has only been righteous. He has been righteous from the beginning. His own brothers sold him into subservient behavior or servitude. He did not come on to the wife as she begged for him to lie, and still was in prison. But again, God works in a way where he will place you in different places and put people in different places for you. So is it because the butler forgot, or was it because he was supposed to? Let us continue forward to chapter 41. And it came to pass of the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up and out of the river 7 well-flavored kings and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kings came up after them out of the river, out ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other king upon kin, not king, kin, upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean flesh kin did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kin. So Pharaoh awoken, and he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears of blustering with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servant, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed the dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretations of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And he told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams to each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass, he interpreted to us, so it was, me, he restored unto my office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself, and changed his raiments, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have a dream, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Pharaoh answered, and Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kin, fat fleshed and well favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kin came up after them, poor and very ill favored, and lean fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the keen and the kin, and the lean and the ill favored kin did eat up the first 7 fat kin. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill favored. As at the beginning, so I awoke. And I saw my dream, and behold, 7 ears of corn, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered thin, and blistered with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magician, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kin are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill favored kin that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blistered with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showed it unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And if that the dream was doubled onto Pharaoh twice, it is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And the food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as God hath showed thee all this, there is none no discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in virtuous of fine linen, and put a gold chain about him. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, Bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his head or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name, that's a tough one, Zaphnath Penath. I know I destroyed that name, but it is a mighty, mighty, mighty long name. I would have to listen to that one again several times, being read correctly for me to understand it. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years the earth brought forth by handfuls, he gathered up the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, unto he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asnith, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manseneth, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil, and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plentifulness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said, and the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith to you do. And the famine was over all the faces of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all lands. Amazing chapter right there. That is an amazing chapter. Not only was he remembered by the butler gave his testimony of who Joseph was. The butler, being a wise man, did not look at this as, this is foolishness. I'm not going to trust any of this information. But he listened. He listened with an open heart and open mind. He brought Joseph out of the prison to get his interpretation of the dream, because no one could interpret it. He was 2 for 2 already. More so before then. Because at the age of 17, before he even ended up in Egypt, he had a dream which his brothers did not respect. His father did, but not his brothers. And now Joseph becomes governor. Joseph even tells the Pharaoh, you will need someone to deal with this, to govern this. And then the Pharaoh was like, why not be you? It is you who shall govern this. It is you who shall make sure we are not in this position. If there's 7 years of good, and there's going to be 7 years of bad, and God is already playing it out, how do we avoid it? Well, we're supposed to, because he has given us a way. We just have to listen to the way that he has given us. So right now, Joseph has had children. Joseph has, that's 7 years. He is in his, he's 30 now. He's been there for a while. He's been in prison for a while. He became governor. He has prepared he has stockpiled the food to be able to withstand the future famine that is coming, which has came. And now the stores are open to all the people of Egypt, and the world needs this. Without this, they could not come together to survive. Genesis 42. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do ye look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph, 10 brethren, went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, these peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was that sowed to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And we said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is the day without father, and one is not. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved by the life of Pharaoh. Ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh. Surely ye are spies. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them, The third day this do, and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We are very guilty concerning our brothers, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear, therefore, in this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simon, and bound him before thy eyes. Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the way, and thus did he unto them. And they landed their asses with the corn, and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provider in the inn, he espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto them, he said unto his brothers, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that God hath done unto us? And they came unto Jacob their father unto in the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with other father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your household, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that ye are not spies, but that ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob, their father, said unto them, Me have ye brethren of my children. Joseph is not, and Simon is not, and yet will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake upon his father, saying, Slay my two sons. If I bring him not to thee, deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in the which ye go, then shall ye bring down my great hairs with sorrow to the grave. Quite an interesting part of the story. They have met their own brother that they do not recognize. They don't even know that that was Joseph, who is now the governor of Egypt, who is also the one who has prepared to deal with the famine, not just for him, not just for Egypt, but for all the land in the world. He gave them an ultimatum. There's 12 of you, but only 11 showed up. Well, for me to believe you, which he already knows the truth because I am one of the 12 brothers, you will bring me Benjamin, your youngest brother, because he understands that that would be the hardest thing for Jacob to do is part ways and allow the Benjamin to go back with them. But another ultimatum is he has kept one. And if you do not bring the missing one for the one, then no one can gain. Amazing. Let us move on. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go ahead, buy a little food. And Judah spake unto him, saying, The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. Quite a predicament right there. Because he knows you're going to need more food, but you better not show your face again without bringing the brother that I said to bring. Because if you come back, Without the brother, you are spies of the land. Even though he knows this is his brother's, but they do not know, so they have to listen. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy the food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, Wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether yet had yet a brother? And they said, The man asked us strifefully of our state and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words, could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? And Judah said unto Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. This is why Mighty Fine Cigar, I'm sorry to change subjects, but a Mighty Fine Cigar will last you time. It'll allow you. This is why these are ceremonies. We can smoke a fine cigar, we can drink a bottle of wine, and we could read God's words. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee, and set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we had lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. And their father Israel said unto them, If it must be so now, do this. Take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm, a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almond. And take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks. Carry it again in your hand. Peradventure it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again unto the man, and God Almighty give your mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. And the men took that present, and they took double money in their hands, and Benjamin's and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, Bring these men home, and slay, and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did, and Joseph bade, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, Because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time, are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen and our asses? And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, Oh, sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And it came to pass, when we came to the inn, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack. Our money is full weight, and we have brought it again in our hand. And our other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. And he said, Peace be to you. Fear not, your God and the God of your father hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Simon out onto them, or maybe Simeon. Simon, Simeon, let's keep it going. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender. And they made ready the present against Joseph, came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hands into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well? The old man of whom ye spake, is he yet alive? And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health. He is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads and made obeisance. And he lifted up in his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother, of whom ye spake unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep. And he entered into his chambers and wept there. And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, Set on bread. And they set on for him. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another. And he took and sent messes unto them from before him. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him. They listened to him. They followed the instructions. The chess pieces were moved in ways that had to be done. Benjamin appears with them because he could not. If he could not, he would call them spies and Simeon would be stuck. But they listened because God said to listen. And Joseph was put in a position to make sure these things happen because he understood the assignment. Let us continue. Genesis 44. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the man's sack with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money. And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city, and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, Up, follow after the men. And when thou dost overtake them, say unto them, Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Is not this in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth, yet have done evil in so doing? And he overtook them, and he spake unto them these same words. And they said unto him, Wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servant should do according to this thing. Behold, the money which we found in our sack's mouth we brought again unto thee out of the land of Canaan. How then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver or gold? With whomever of thy servant it be found, both let him die, and we also will be my Lord's bondmen. And he said, Now also let it be according unto your words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless. Then they speedily took down every man his sack to the ground, and opened every man his sack. And he searched and began at the eldest, and left at the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they rent their clothes, and laid every man his ass, and returned to the city. And Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, What deed is this that ye have done? Wot ye not that such a man as I certainly divine? And Judah said, What shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also with whom the cup is found. And he said, God forbid that I should do so, but the man in whose hands the cup is found, he shall be my servant. And as for you, get you up in peace unto your father. Then Judah came near unto him, and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not thine anger burn against thy servants, for thou art even a Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servant, saying, Have ye a father or a brother? And we said unto my Lord, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. And thou saidst unto thy servants, Bring him down unto me, that I may set my eyes upon him. And we said unto my Lord, That lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. And thou saidst unto thy servants, Except your youngest brother come down with you, ye shall see my face no more. And it came to pass, when we came up unto the servant, my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go ahead and buy us a little food. And we said, We cannot go down. If our youngest brother be with us, then will we go down. For we may not see the man's face, except our youngest brother be with us. And thy servant, my father, said unto us, Ye know that my wife bare me 2 sons, and the one went out for me. And I said, Surely he is torn in pieces, and I saw him not since. And if ye take this also from me, and mischief befall him, ye shall bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to thy servant, my father, and the lad be not with us, seeing that his life is bound up in the lad's life, it shall come to pass, when he seeth that the lad is not with us, that he will die. And thy servants shall bring down the gray hairs of thy servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For thy servant became surety for the lad unto my father, saying, If I bring him not unto thee, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever. Now therefore I pray thee, let thy servant abide instead of the lad, a bondman to my lord, and let the lad go up with his brethren. For how shall I go up to my father, and the lad be not with me? Lest peradventure I say the evil that shall come of my father. This is the plead. This is the plea to believe me. I have done everything you have said, everything you have asked for. We have done. That is what the brother have said. They are begging. They're in a position of, we cannot fake it, but the truth must prevail. Without the truth, there is nothing. We shall save this chapter for another day. 45 and 46. For the wine is almost empty, and for the cigar is almost completed. And we only have a bit more of this and of that, and an empty bottle in front of us. So we will conclude tonight's ceremony, and we shall continue the ceremony on tomorrow, maybe the following day, or maybe when I see you again. I want you to be able to see this. I want your thoughts on this. How do you feel about this story in the book of Genesis? Eight chapters we have read. 8 chapters. We have 2 more to go for this story. A very compelling story. It shows us how God is able to not only write the beginning, but he also writes the end. And depending on how you listen and choose, it plays out the way that he written it. Is it free will? It is, because you have a choice to listen. It's hard to hear God when you've already made up your mind. It's hard to hear God when you have already, when you're drowned by so much noise. And if you're not able to hear God with all the noise, your story could end sooner than it shall. Let this be the end of our ceremony for tonight. May you go in peace. Peace be the journeys, and may your journeys be peaceful.